Okay, here we are. We're back. We took a little hiatus.
hmm
Welcome back to Bar Banter, episode 437.
hmm
Yeah, I never know what episode it is. Do you
You
know what
you gotta
episode it
you
is?
gotta be better with that.
I do have to be better with that. You
Mhm.
could tell me before we start recording.
Believe this is 11.
Is it 11? Okay, 11. You got to turn it up to 11. I don't know. I wasn't sure if it was episode 6 or 7. But there it is. The girls will love that one. That's a good.
Boy,
That's good. Did I tell you I got them so
oh
irritated
boy.
right now? So I'm like every night, like I'm like, hey, what time do you got to wake up tomorrow? Do you got to wake up at 6 or 7? They get so mad at me.
Yeah,
Um,
rightfully so. I would get
they're
mad too.
like, they're like, you got to stop.
Yeah, you
They're
did.
like, you
Yeah,
got to stop. It's so. It's funny. Actually, Anna likes it. She laughs a little bit, but she's almost 13, so she can't handle it.
they're
It's too
probably
much. Oh, I will
missing.
say this though. I will say this talking about horses and stuff like that. We weren't, but we are now.
I was about to say who brought up a horse.
So over the weekend, Lydia won her first blue ribbon at the horse show.
All right.
Riding Chucky, the big old Chucky, the old horse. She did all the stuff and the trotting and the cantering and all that stuff. And so she took home her first blue ribbon. So that was awesome. That was exciting. And then Anna, it was in a soccer tournament, and it was the coldest that there's ever been. We were there for 9 hours, played 4 games, and her team ended up coming in second. Two extended periods, almost went to a shootout, and then they ended up losing in the second extended period of the championship game and came in second. So, but it was a it was a good weekend. It was a good weekend overall. In that regard, not
Um,
necessarily a good weekend as far as the baseballs or the Lions are concerned, but
yeah, it was a good weekend in college sports. But not in pro sports.
some college sports anyway.
Okay. Well, while we're on the topic of that, you had we were just live on Instagram.
We
Um,
did. We did a live. We
we
did
did
a
a
live.
live. We did a live, our
You weren't
first
there.
ever
You missed
live.
out.
Yeah, it was our first ever live broadcast on any platform here at Bar Banter. It was a good time. We're gonna be doing more of that. So make sure you guys are followed to Instagram and TikTok. But before we closed out there on Instagram on the live, you had mentioned something, and since you just brought up the Lions, I figure now's a good time. Let's just hop right into it here. You everybody knows here on this channel the long going beef between my dad and Joel Klatt. They will have a boxing match now that Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis got canceled. They're replacing it
Yeah.
with Eric Schwartz and Joel Klatt. So be on the
Yeah.
lookout for that. But so you've got another broadcast team here that is now on your shit list, and you know what, I know who it is, but I agree with you. Let's just talk about how brutal that Lions Vikings broadcast was.
I'm gonna tell you something. So this is the part that irritates me, right? Like, so we know what the media does, right? Like the media picks something that they hang their hat on, right? And they don't allow themselves to be wrong about it, even in the face of all the evidence of them being wrong
Mhm.
in front of it. And this broadcast was literally an example of that. I mean the absolute JJ love fest that happened for a guy playing his third NFL game
Yeah.
after being hurt for an entire season and 5 games of his second season. And I mean, it was literally the whole broadcast. Even while the Lions were on offense, they were doing cutaways to JJ sitting on the bench.
Yeah, it was
I mean, it
brutal.
was unbelievable. Every single pass he threw, they acted like it was the greatest thing ever. Listen, you know what? I should have had it ready. I should have had it ready. This is on me. I'm gonna hand up. I should have had it ready. Um, his stats
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into that. Let's start with
because
that.
look at all right. Here's the thing. JJ McCarthy was 14 of 25.
Horrible.
14 of 25. Now, now three or four of those 14 were the screen passes.
Yeah.
Okay. One was a completely underthrown ball to Addison that he came back for, and then one was a ridiculous JJ, the other JJ, the real JJ, the good
Yeah.
JJ, Justin Jefferson one handed catch in the end zone. So 14 of 25 passing. Okay, so first of all, and for 143 yards. 37 of those yards was on a screen pass. Another 30 of those yards was that underthrown ball that was underthrown by 15 yards. Not to mention that he had the one pick, should have had another pick, was bailed out by a penalty. That was completely a disastrous pass. Like, I don't know what he's doing. But they were acting like this guy is Dan Marino, Steve Young, Joe Montana, everybody all rolled into one, Lamar, Jack, like
Yeah.
all rolled into one. Like this guy could do no wrong, and anything that was incomplete, it was because, oh, he's throwing the ball too hard or this or that or anything. He's not accurate. I mean, he's behind, he's high, he's it's the love fest that happened, that these guys talking about this was a great performance by a guy. 14 of 25 for 143 yards.
Yeah. And they're saying that's a great performance. It was, and when I watched it too, I'm watching every time he dropped back and every time he let one fly. I'm watching the ball in midair and I'm like, oh my God, surely this is going to be an interception. Because I mean, every ball was wobbly in the air. It was nowhere near the receiver. It was like you meant. It was above, behind, below. I mean, he couldn't hit any of them. Like I said, he was getting bailed out by Addison and Jettas out there. Like if he didn't have two great receivers out there making these incredible catches, it was terrible.
The
And then he
sacks
had
that he
one
had, the sacks that he took, like the one sack that Aiden Hutchinson had on him, I don't even know if anybody touched him, to be honest with you. I think that play was still alive when he went down. I think he just fell to the ground,
probably.
and it was actually still a live play. I don't think anybody touched him at all. Let's
But
let's just put it in comparison.
there was the one throw that he had that was like in the third quarter that kind of went wobbling out of bounds. And Brady goes, "Oh, the one inaccurate ball he throws today, we'll give him a pass." And it's just like it was
Terrible.
unbelievable. Like it was
Terrible.
worse. It was worse. It was worse than watching a Chiefs game. Like
It was it
it
was
was worse
worse
than
than
what you get with
watching
Mahomes.
Collinsworth talk about
Yeah,
Mahomes.
it was.
And this clown is getting Mahomes type calls. The two
He was
roughing the
getting, yeah.
passers were absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
That continued drives and everything else. I mean, it was, and let's just put this into perspective, right? And then we'll move on, because I'm going to tell you something. This is one of the industry plant type things, right?
Mhm.
Like, so we have to, because this was a number 10 overall pick, and everybody was talking about this guy and everything else. And so they can't back off of it, right? Because they've staked their reputations on it. You got the dummy Adam Schefter and all these
Yeah.
guys that are like, so Michigan, 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 and JJ, and he won a national championship, and he was 27-1 as a quarterback in college, and he's got to be great. He's got to be great. Listen, he hasn't shown anything in the 3 games that he's played, and he hasn't shown, he's a China doll, can't stay healthy. But let's also look at it this way, right? Because Jared Goff had the worst game of his Lions tenure. This is even worse than the games when they started 0-13 before they finally won a game against
Minnesota.
the Vikings. You just went blurry as all hell.
I know. I don't know why I don't know what's going on here.
You got to figure it out. You're moving stuff. I
I
got a good
can't.
rant going and you're distracting me right now. So
Just
let's
keep
talk.
it
Here you
going.
go. You're good now. So let's talk about so Jared Goff had the worst game of his Lions tenure. Okay, since he's been here. And let's look at his numbers, right? Because there's no denying that it was his worst game. But let's look at his numbers. He was 25 of 37. Okay. So way better completion percentage. Okay. He threw for 284 yards, not 143. Okay. He had two touchdowns, no picks. Okay. And he had the worst game of his Lions tenure. And nobody, what, but yet we're talking about 14 of 25 for 143 yards as like the second coming of quarterbacks. Like, what are we
Yeah,
doing? What
horrible.
do we do?
Just horrible.
Like nobody has eyes. They can't see. Like this broadcast is so like they think you're so unintelligent that you don't have eyes to be able to see what's actually happening out there. That they're going to sit there and try and tell you that 14 of 25 for 143 yards is the second coming of all quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like this is it's insulting that
And
Kevin Burkhardt and Tom look at Tom Brady's a Michigan guy and everything else and whatever, but the fact that this broadcast was so hell bent on it's like they had the pregame script. Listen, we're going to hope that JJ has a great game because our whole broadcast is centered around him being awesome. And whether he's awesome or not, we're going to tell you that he is.
yeah.
And it was ridiculous because it was a terrible performance by a guy who, again, as I've said before, can't play quarterback unless he knows what the defense is doing.
hmm
He's
And
a tremendous athlete. Nobody's saying that that's not the case. He's a tremendous athlete. He is. He's a good athlete. He's not a quarterback because
his
he's never shown that he can complete a pass and make the plays if he doesn't know what the defense is doing.
and I'll tell you his stat line being as bad as it was doesn't even do justice for how bad he actually played. Like you can sit there and you can rifle off that stat line and be like, "Oh yeah, that's bad." But like actually watching the throws he was making is even worse.
He had Jefferson bailing him out.
That's what I'm saying. If he didn't
And the
have the
one
guys
call
he
got
had,
overturned, which I don't even know if it should have been overturned or whatever. But Jefferson again was bailing him out, like diving on the ground on a ball that should have been in his breadbasket. Like I
yeah,
mean, it's and the pick was on his hip.
yeah.
And also like
Terry Arnold's first career NFL interception,
yeah. I,
and
I
it
mean, it
was
just
that.
it's really it's silly to me. And then he tweets out afterwards, kneecaps intact
Yeah, like
afterwards.
get
Like,
out of my
listen,
face,
calm
dude.
down.
And that's the other
14 of
part of it too.
25, 143 yards. Listen, you got no kneecaps,
Not
buddy.
only that, okay, cool. Yeah, you want to come out here and you want to go ahead and do that whole kneecaps intact tweet or whatever. I want to see Michigan fan come out here and still defend the guy now. He's
Oh, they
taking
will.
shots.
Oh, they
He's taking
will. They
shots
will
at Dan Campbell
because
and
it's an
taking shots
alternate
at the
universe.
Lions.
It's an alternate universe, and I'm going to tell you something, and I'll call him out right now. T Stew's out there right now saying, "Oh, see, he's the greatest quarterback ever," and I'm telling you, listen, you're not going to just like with the whole cheating thing. Like I've said over and over and over again, I just want one person to come out and say it was absolutely cheating. I don't care. I still enjoyed it and everything else. I'm good with that comment, but to try to justify it and everything else, like we're going to try and justify JJ being a good quarterback, it's unbelievable. And you know what I mean? Like, come out and say, listen, that was a bad performance. It
Yeah,
was a bad performance. Minnesota won because of defense and special teams. Their defense had had John Morton and the Lions offense guessing all day long. They
yeah.
couldn't pick up the blitz. They couldn't stop the pass rush. They couldn't figure it out. Special teams was unbelievable. They were returning kicks, blocking field goals and everything else. Lions played the worst game of the Dan Campbell era.
That was a really bad game.
And were literally, and they couldn't stop the run. You know what I mean? They won in spite of 14 of 25 for 143 yards for their quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Their
Yeah.
only points came on possessions that started on the plus side of the field in Lions territory.
Yeah.
They never moved the length of the field with the ball,
Yeah.
but the Lions gave them 5 possessions in the plus side of the territory because they played so horribly.
And somehow still only lost by 3.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
garbage, just garbage.
So
But yeah,
let's add that. I mean, the
you had
only thing
something
that would have
else you
made
wanted
that
to.
worse is if it was Joel Klatt,
Yeah, God. Yeah.
because I still can't stand that.
You had something else that you wanted to address. Oh, you had a couple things you wanted to
Are we gonna stay in football? Do we want to stay in
we
football or
can
do we
we
want to
can
jump
do
around?
we can do whatever.
Okay, so I do want to talk about, so since we're on the NFL, let's talk about the Jaden Daniels.
Ugh.
I feel bad. I feel bad for Jaden Daniels because I mean um that's brutal. In a game that was out of hand, and the question is, he had come back from an injury, and everything else. The question was, should he have even been out there on the field? And because the game was out of hand, it was fourth quarter. They're down by 3 scores, and if you don't know, he dislocated his elbow and it was nasty.
I mean, that was
And
like Kevin Ware, Louisville, like snapped leg,
not
gruesome.
as bad as that, because Kevin Ware, his bone came out of his leg.
Yeah, that was pretty insane, but it was bad. And you know what it is though? It's a curse of Washington quarterbacks. I mean, think about it.
It
Joe
is.
Theismann
Joe
and
Theismann, Alex Smith,
Robert Griffin the
Robert
third.
Griffin, and now Jaden Daniels. I feel bad because you talk about quarterbacks, right? Like, and everybody's got this love fest for JJ and everything else like that or whatever. The NFL, if they wanted to promote somebody, it should have been this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Says all the right things, does all the right things, talent beyond belief, and
Mhm.
everything else. And then this happens, and it's you hate to see it because I think he's a special kid and a really good quarterback. And it was brutal. I mean, he dislocated. I mean, the thing snapped. Um, it looked like how I feel if I sleep wrong and I get out of bed too quickly. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things. But
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, the good news is, going forward, it wasn't his throwing arm. So, down the line,
true.
that's the good news there. If you can try and find the good in it.
That's the silver lining.
Yeah.
That's what you have to hang your hat on. This year's a wash. Get him right, and then it's his off arm. So at least there's that. So yeah, prayers for the kid, but it was unbelievable. I'm a big Jaden Daniels guy. I'm a big Jaden Daniels
Yeah.
guy.
Big,
You know,
big,
oh,
big Jaden Daniels guy.
yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something. That's coming from you too, as as also a minor Arizona State guy.
Yeah.
You know, how about that video when he transferred the dudes in the locker room cleaning out his locker? Be like, he sucked anyway.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad
Yeah.
look for Arizona State. That was embarrassing and stuff like that. Look, I get the frustration that he transferred and stuff like that, but the kid had to do what was best for him. And at that time, it was absolutely what was best for him. He went on to win the Heisman and became a top pick and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And he was able to show, like, he didn't, that was the Herm Edwards years at Arizona State, and you had issues with Herm Edwards and violations and all that kind of stuff, and the team was bad and everything else. I don't blame him at all for that.
Yeah.
Going to LSU and doing what he did. It was a bad look when they were cleaning out his locker,
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, all this stuff. This is stupid, just being petty and dumb." Yeah, it was embarrassing as an Arizona State grad,
Yeah.
to see that. But again, here's the other part about it. This is why I love Jaden Daniels. He handled that perfectly.
Yeah.
He said, "Look, I understand."
Yeah.
I mean, he's a young kid and everything else, and he's like, hey, look, I get
Yeah.
it. but I had to do what was right for me. And that's why I love the kid. And I feel bad for him because that was a
That
brutal,
was brutal.
brutal injury. I mean,
Do you
the
think
snap.
do you think that if he had been a little bit bigger, like do you think those type of injuries can be prevented from like size? Like do you think a guy like Tim Tebow snapping his arm like that?
I think he could probably snap his arm just as easily. And here's the thing that I was having this conversation, and I forget who I was talking to. I forget when it was or whatever. So I mean, whatever. Maybe the conversation didn't even happen. But anyway, I think I was having this conversation about it was at Anna soccer tournament. We were in between games and stuff like that. We were talking, about how sports are nowadays to where kids have to specialize in a sport so early on in their lives. Like at 6 to 10 years old, they're
Yeah.
like, I'm a soccer player, I'm a baseball player, and
Yeah.
I'm playing year
Yep.
round
Yep.
and everything else. And I think what the damage that does is like when I was way back in the day, like a badge of honor back in my day was if you were a three sport athlete. That was the badge of honor. It wasn't you're the best at this. It was you played three sports. So that was the badge of honor, right? But now because kids specialize and they play one sport, and the reason why you see so many pitching injuries and stuff like that now that you didn't see before is because think about the motions that you're doing in a sport
Hmm.
and the muscles that you're using and the tendons that you're taxing and all of this stuff. Think about that, and you're taxing those muscles and all that stuff from day one.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a three sport athlete, you're using different muscles each time and you're building a better, well rounded physique and everything else. And I think that that's probably more, I don't think it's his size as much as it is, this is what happens because you see it with pitchers. I think Tim Tebow probably would have, because we see it with people that lift weights all the time, right? They
Yeah.
snap,
Yeah.
their bicep pops because you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you're really taxing that muscle more than
Yeah,
it
but again,
should
but
be.
but I mean, how many times is Jaden Daniel like? How many times has he fallen on that arm like that? Like,
Well, but think about the kid from Arkansas that snapped his leg in the end zone just
yeah,
jumping and landing on it.
yeah,
Think about you brought up what's his name
Kevin Ware.
from Louisville. Yeah, that snapped his leg just jumping and landing and thing like that.
Yeah,
So um but
yeah,
yeah, I think that that's really more of the problem than anything else. The fact that you're training your body to only do one thing, and then you're overexerting in that area from an early age on,
hmm,
and you're really not developing anything around it in other ways.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think that that's really the problem. And I think that's why you see these freak injuries. Like the Aiden Hutchinson snapping his leg
yeah.
and
That one
stuff
was
like
yeah,
that. Like, and then we had Mahogany who did the exact same thing against the Vikings. Offensive lineman, same exact type of injury Hutch had. You get your leg hit, and then boom, the bone just snaps because it hasn't done anything different its whole entire life, right? And then all of a
yeah,
sudden you introduce something different to it, and it's gone.
yeah. That's a fair assessment.
Okay, so that's enough of the NFL stuff again.
Do you
Feel bad.
like do you like my hat change? It was like it just kind of spawned in here. Like the last it's like 5 seconds ago, I had a snapback on. Now I've got a beanie. Do you like how
So
I did that?
so I think what the cool thing about that is like that your hats morph based on how cold you are.
See, yeah,
And
in
that
about
that
20 more minutes, I'm gonna
fireplace
have a coat on.
Yeah, so the fireplace isn't really doing a whole heck of a lot for you there. Like, I mean, you need to kick up the heat on that like a little bit so that way you don't morph into the um
It's
in
festive. It's got pumpkins. It's Halloween and Thanksgiving esque. We got
yeah, fall.
we got wreaths. It's very fall, not Christmas yet. We can't skip over Thanksgiving, but it is still Christmas time. I can hear Mariah Carey. She's there.
Well,
I can
she's
hear her.
thawing out.
She's getting ready.
So the yeah, I feel I always get irritated that the Thanksgiving gets glossed over.
The only reason I love Thanksgiving is for Lions football, in all reality. If we
I
didn't have
like
the Lions game, I don't know if I would really care for Thanksgiving.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much
Yeah.
because it's the only outside of St. Patrick's Day and well, I guess 4th of July. Those are the days where it's the holiday is about like getting together with people and hanging out and having a good time,
Yeah.
right? Like everything else is about like gifts
Mhm.
and all the other bullshit, right? Like Christmas, like oh, what am I gonna get?
Yeah.
It's like I don't like any of that stuff. Like I like it's annoying, right? Like so, like the only thing I like about the Christmas stuff is that you get the Hallmark Channel and you get all the Christmas Hallmark movies,
Oh,
which just
great acting in those movies, by
oh,
the
it's
way.
unbelievable. The plot lines are ridiculous.
Yep.
They're amazing. It's so good. But yeah, that's what I like about Thanksgiving and St. Patrick's Day
Yeah.
and 4th of July. It's we're gonna eat food, we're gonna have drink, and we're gonna be with people that we want to be with.
It's just a good time.
Awesome,
Good time around.
awesome, right?
Yeah.
But so one of the things that happened today was so we got the first college football
Mhm.
playoff ranking. And
Yes,
we went live while it was happening
we
and we were
did.
talking about it. And I think really the only real difference of it was that we saw that the playoff committee really doesn't value Oregon.
No, they don't. They don't. And it actually kind of shocked me because Oregon's only loss is to number two, Indiana.
Right.
Yes, at home, but still number two, Indiana. So I am a little surprised that they had
But it
them.
was a bad loss.
Yeah, I guess not. Is it though?
No, no, no. I mean it would but I mean like the game wasn't close.
Yeah, but look at Indiana though.
Right. But I mean you lose bad at home.
I guess, but I still think
The
that
only team that you've played all year
you lose bad too. I mean, I guess that can explain maybe six for the committee. I think nine in the AP
because
might be
they're
a
what,
little
6 or
low.
7?
I think nine in the AP might be a little low. But I think yeah, I think
No, they're
six.
they're 9 in the playoff ranking. They
Is it
were
nine in the
6 in the
playoff?
AP.
Oh, six in the AP, nine in the playoff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
that's yeah.
everybody talking about 6-7, 6-7. What happened to just a good old fashioned 69? Like, nice 69.
I will say as much as I ranted on hating the Burkhart and Brady and all that stuff like that, I will say that they did talk about, the classic 69 is reported as eligible kind of a thing. They did kind of bring that up as far as offensive linemen do that. That was kind of funny, but outside of that, the rest of it was nauseating.
It's
But
nauseating. Yeah. But
you
yes,
know,
okay. So you got Oregon 6 and 9 in the committee and AP. Uh, we went through it, and I
I
don't
think
know, man. I think for the
it's going to
most
play
part,
itself out,
the only
right?
thing the only thing that I would change right now would be I would put A&M at two, and I would put Indiana at three, as opposed to vice versa.
But I'm okay. But I'm okay with that, right? Like I'm okay with that because that's going to play itself out, right? Like, so so what's going to happen is Indiana is going to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, right?
Well, yeah,
And and
but
and A&M, if they keep playing, they're going to be in the SEC championship game, right? So even if both of those teams win out, they're going to be 1-2. Okay. If one of them lose, then they're going to be, then it doesn't matter, anyway. Right. Like, that's, it's just like BYU and Texas Tech being where they're at. Like one of those is going to drop off because they're playing each other,
yeah,
this weekend. And that's going to be a thing. So, um,
you've got Bama at 4, Georgia at 5. That one, how do you feel about that one? I think you mentioned you would have put Georgia over Bama.
I mean, I feel like Georgia is
Didn't Bama
Georgia's,
beat Georgia this year though?
um, did they play each other?
Or am I thinking of last year?
That's last year. So who did Georgia lose to? I don't have it in front of me. You pull it up.
Who did Georgia lose to?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, it
have
was
any.
Bama this year. Yeah, they
Oh, they
lost.
did lose to Bama.
It was
So
24-21.
that
That's
makes
right.
sense then. Okay, so that makes sense. I forgot that game happened. Yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
They almost lost
That
to
makes sense.
Tennessee.
Huh?
Almost lost to Tennessee. That's the other question.
The
Tennessee's
field
sticking
goal.
around at 25, at least in
Their
the
season's done. Their season's
AP
done at three
23 though. But
losses.
yeah,
Season's done at three losses. You can't you know, and they still have, I mean, they still have the Vandy game, at the end of the year and stuff like that. So I mean, who knows? They might end up with four losses or whatever. But at three losses, you're done. You're out of the mix, right? Like, it's yeah,
what I think the conference that's going to end up being most interesting to me down the stretch here is going to be the ACC
right.
with Virginia, Louisville,
Georgia Tech,
Georgia Tech,
Duke.
Miami.
Duke's got one loss, right? Or do they have two losses now?
Duke's not in the top 25.
So they must have lost again.
I mean, they got a loss. They beat Clemson, which is irrelevant now, but they got a loss to Georgia Tech, and then they got to play. Well, they got Duke still has to play Virginia. But they lost to Georgia Tech and they lost to Ole Miss. They got blown out. Oh, and then they lost to Tulane.
Oh yeah, that's well. See you, Duke. But anyway, you still got you. So you got Georgia Tech, you got Virginia, you got Louisville, and you got Miami's hanging around with two losses.
Yeah,
Um,
Carson Beck sucks.
yeah, but so yeah, the ACC is going to be kind of interesting because what happens? That's where that's where Notre Dame has to worry
Hmm.
because you don't want a situation to where you end up with a two-loss Miami that doesn't play in the ACC championship game hanging around there because then you're going to take the two-loss Miami that beat Notre Dame over a two-loss Notre Dame team.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, you would think.
As of right now, I think the only good loss Notre Dame has is A&M. I don't even know if you can even consider Miami a good loss anymore because I think that Miami's losses are worse. Like it's not like Miami lost to good teams. I think they're 6-2, yeah, but I think their two losses are horrible,
Oh, they're
which
bad
makes the six
losses.
and
Yeah.
two look worse than what it really is,
Yeah.
which doesn't look good for Notre Dame. The saving grace is one of those is an A&M loss, which if A&M keeps it up at this rate, that's the other part of it too. Okay, what's your SEC championship game prediction? Because you've got here's the thing. I mean, Georgia already lost to Bama, but they're both 7-1. You got A&M undefeated, and you got Ole Miss with one loss.
I have to look up.
The schedule, because who plays each other still?
Yeah, it's.
I want to
I'm
know.
trying to look at because they're still off of like the divisions.
Ole Miss's only loss is to Georgia, so then that means if Georgia's out, Ole Miss is out, which would leave A&M and Bama.
What did you say?
Ole Miss's one loss is to Georgia, so if Georgia's out, Ole Miss is out, which would leave A&M and Bama. Because Oklahoma and Texas are out.
Well, they're out of the SEC
That's what I'm
championship game.
saying. So if Georgia ends up getting left out, Ole Miss gets left out, and then that leaves Bama and A&M unless Ole Miss or unless Georgia loses one down the stretch. But Ole Miss has to play Florida still.
Okay, so the SEC did away with the divisions too, right? So it's top two teams.
Yeah.
So yeah, so as it stands right now, the two unbeaten in the conference are A&M and Alabama.
Yeah. That would be I would actually, you know what, I'd like to see that game.
So Texas and Oklahoma's got two losses in the conference. I mean, they're
Yeah, they're out, and so is Texas.
well, Texas only has one loss in the conference though,
Yeah, Florida.
because their other loss was to Ohio State. The Florida loss is a bad loss, but it's not really a bad loss.
No.
I mean,
At
nobody
Florida.
wants to play Florida. Nobody wants to
Florida's
play
a Florida's a tough
right.
stadium. It's tough to play at Florida too.
But what has to happen for Texas is Georgia and Ole Miss need to lose.
Yeah. Then they could sneak their way back in.
Yeah, right.
And then we already know Big Ten is set. Big Ten set. It's Ohio.
Yeah, that's Ohio State, Indiana in the
Unless
championship game
somehow
right there.
Indiana like to lose out, then Oregon could sneak back in. But
But no, neither Ohio State or Indiana play anybody the rest of the way because the Big Ten's just so bad.
well, I mean, hold on a minute. Indiana got to go to Penn State, Wisconsin at home to Purdue.
Those are all bad games. All
Purdue
sub 500 teams.
Purdue and Wisconsin are garbage, and Penn
Penn
State
State's
sucks.
garbage.
Yeah,
The four-loss Penn State team,
5 loss now.
five-loss Penn State team. So
Gosh, it's crazy how their season just completely.
imploded.
Yeah,
So yeah, so the Big Ten's bad. So that's all you get, right? Like, I mean, you have your top two, and then Oregon's kind of hanging there, and then that's well, but Iowa. I mean,
yeah, but
and
Iowa's not going to
Iowa
do
is
anything.
what they are. What is Iowa, right? They're kind of hanging around. Do you get four teams out of the Big Ten? I don't
No,
I don't think so, especially if what happens in the ACC. You know what I mean?
you
Like
could end
you
up
got
with you
like
could
we
end up with
talked
four
about
teams out of the ACC.
four teams out of the Big Ten, four teams out of the ACC. You can't do that because you're going to
Can't.
have at least four teams out of the SEC,
You're going to have A&M, Bama, Georgia, and Ole Miss.
maybe Texas.
You can't take five, can you? There's no way you take five, right?
Well, the only way that you would take five is if no, because we forget about the Big 12 too. Texas
Yeah.
Tech,
BYU,
BYU,
Texas Tech,
Utah.
and Utah.
Yeah, you can't take five. You can't take five. You take four out of the
I'm gonna
SEC,
tell you,
which then you can only take three out of the ACC, two or three out of the Big Ten.
you got you got
Probably three.
you got three out of the Big Ten. You got Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon. Then what? You're gonna take four out of the SEC: A&M, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss. maybe Texas.
two out of the ACC,
You're gonna,
the
which right
champion,
now
and
is
then the
looking
next
like
best.
Louisville, which is looking like Louisville, Virginia right now. But here's the thing, though. Okay, so you've got it's let's hypothetically say you take two ACC, four SEC, three Big Ten. You take one Big 12 or two Big 12? Because then where does Notre Dame end up?
Then Notre Dame's on the outside looking in. And that's the first time not being in a conference hurts them.
Yeah,
Because up to this point, not being in a conference hasn't hurt them.
it hasn't. No,
But this could be the year where it does.
they'll never join one though.
Well, I mean, they might.
If they did, they join
It
the
would be the
ACC
ACC
because the rest of their the rest of their athletics
are in the
are
ACC.
ACC. So they, I mean,
They won't ever join the Big Ten because the Big Ten rejected them
well, also
already
if they join the ACC,
because they were
they're gonna win the
scared.
ACC every year.
Well, right, which they might end up having to do.
Then there goes their NBC deal.
Yeah, they would lose money by doing it, but
They would lose a
they
lot of
would
money.
gain money by being in the playoff,
Yeah. So
right?
we got our taste. We got our taste of the 12 team format last year. It's getting down. We're getting down to the wire this year. Are we still convinced that a 12 team is the way to go at this stage of the second year?
I think this is. I mean, they're talking about a 24 team, and that's just awful.
So you're going to put the whole entire AP in there? That's garbage.
Yeah, the 24 team is awful. Look, we already know. Like last year, we had the 12 team, and SMU and Boise didn't belong. And you're talking this year right now that Memphis would be the 12th. Memphis doesn't belong. Like
First of all,
that's silliness to me.
Memphis isn't even.
They're the best non-power four team, and that's why they get in. And that's stupid to me. Like that,
Memphis is 22 in the AP, but they're not even in the college football rankings.
right?
So the AP left out Pitt, but the
Well,
college
Pitt's gonna
football
lose.
rankings put Pitt
Pitt's
in.
gonna lose this week anyway. They play Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, so they're done.
But I think trying to add that silly team in is dumb.
No, I agree. Like the SMU was dumb, and think about it. SMU got throttled, and think about who they got throttled by: Penn State.
And Boise got beat by Penn
Penn
State.
State.
Penn State's two wins in the playoff were against SMU and Boise. So
Yeah,
again, this was the whole thing about Penn State doesn't never beat anybody that's worth anything, right? So
yeah.
that's why Franklin got fired.
He's
But yeah,
Brian Kelly 2.0.
yeah, so we're in this situation to where it's like, okay, so why are we bringing? Because okay, so that's the argument then, right? Like, so that's the argument would be, who would you rather have in the playoff? Would you rather have Memphis or would you rather have Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, 1,000%. People want to sit there and be like, "Oh, Memphis, it's cool. Somebody new. Cool, dude. You want to watch a blowout? Like, yeah, it is
Right.
somebody new, but that's not how it works. The whole thing. I just like to see somebody new. Only works if somebody new is good, right? Like people say it all
Right.
the time. Like, oh, I just want to see,
Because Memphis is going to go to Georgia and get throttled.
like that's my whole thing when people, they talk about the Super Bowl, right? Like, oh, I'm cheering for such and such because I just want to see somebody new. That works because it's the NFL.
Right.
Right. So that works. When you're talking about throwing teams like SMU and Memphis and Boise, like, oh, it's somebody new. Well, look what happened last time we tried to do this. When we threw Cincinnati in years ago. We threw,
And yeah,
TCU in years ago. I
TCU.
mean, they
Right.
beat Michigan because, I mean, of course, but Michigan couldn't cheat that game. But you know what I
Well, they
mean? So
tried.
they tried, but yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You try and throw in these schools that, oh, it's somebody new, it's cool. And then, again, Cincinnati finally had some hype and they ended up getting throttled by Utah.
Well, even back when they had like the BCS and the BCS games and stuff like that or whatever, and who was it? Was Hawaii? Hawaii went and played somebody and got beat handily they came back and made it closer than what it should have been or whatever. But you still have when Boise beat Oklahoma that one year. Um, but
Yeah,
that's,
it
I
was
mean, that's an
2000 it was
anomaly, right?
2008 at the
Yeah,
Sugar Bowl.
that's
2008, they lost to Georgia 41-10.
right. So that's, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at, right? Like, so that's why I don't like throwing. Now, look it. Here's the thing. If Memphis has scheduled Power Four teams in their non-conference and beat them and was undefeated, then absolutely put them in. But if they haven't beaten anybody that's in the Power Four, why are we putting them in just because they're the best of the also rans? Right. Like, I
Right.
mean, that's just silly to me. Because again, do you want to see Georgia and Memphis or do you want to see Georgia Notre Dame rematch?
Georgia Notre Dame, 1,000%.
And that's what we're looking at.
Because also think about it this way too. Here's the other part about it. People want to talk about Notre Dame, Notre Dame, Notre Dame. Anytime they have had to play these teams in the regular season, last time Notre Dame played Georgia, it was close, super close games. You know, last time Notre Dame played any of these like big schools that are people are like, oh, that are basically shoo-ins for
Well,
playoffs
even their
and
losses this year,
yeah, right. A&M
one
and
possession games, total of 4 points.
the only I think the only school in this category that Notre Dame didn't fare against was Alabama back in 12. Because even the Ohio
Yeah, and
State game last year in the
yeah.
Natty, I the score was a little bit they started coming back late. I mean, Ohio State dominated that first half, but Notre Dame started coming back late to make that score closer. Aside from maybe last year, and then, the Brian Kelly Manti Te'o year, any other big school that they've played, they hang around with if they don't win.
I feel like the championship game was closer than the score at the end.
You think?
Yeah, because they came back. I mean, they had an opportunity to make it a one score game, and so I think we didn't Ohio State score late or something? Yeah, it was the it was 8 points or something like that, and Jeremiah Smith caught that ball, and then they kicked a field
They
goal.
iced it.
Because if he didn't catch that ball, then Notre Dame would have had it down 8 and it was
Yeah,
one
because
possession,
yeah.
right? Like, so there was that one pass to Jeremiah Smith that made it a 10 point or 11 point game when they don't complete that pass and Notre Dame has the ball down one score. You know what I mean? So it was closer than what the score was. You know what I mean? So yeah, to sit there as a college football committee and sit there and say we want Memphis in instead of Notre Dame at the 12 spot is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's quite asinine if you ask me. I'm the and at this point the Notre Dame hate to me is just so forced. Like people just hate on Notre Dame just because. Like it's so forced anymore. Like why actually do you hate Notre Dame? Genuinely. Nobody can ever give you a valid reason.
I mean, it's an elite school. It's the fans are elitists. I mean, I've been a Notre Dame fan most of my life, and I freely will admit it and stuff like that. But the fact that they don't join a conference or whatever,
Who
and
cares? What does it matter? It doesn't affect anybody
right,
but themselves.
yeah, but and they haven't won anything since '88. I mean, although they have been at least in the mix. I mean, at least they've been like they were in the BCS championship game. They were in the 14 playoff. They were in the 12-team playoff. You know what I mean? Like, so at least they've been in the mix recently. Um, but they haven't won anything since '88. So there's that. Um, comes across, but I mean, they schedule everybody. They
They
schedule
do.
everybody.
And they hang around.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And we got some games coming up that are gonna shift things pretty quickly
Do you
or
want to
whatever. But
do you want to do a quick right now after the first college football rankings come out? Do you want to pick a national champion right now?
we can't. We know who you're picking.
Yeah, so you that's why I'm asking. Do you want to do everybody
I
knows why?
mean, I mean, so that's just silliness, right? Like, I mean, you're gonna pick Ohio State, and it would be silly to pick against Ohio State.
I mean,
I mean, the money's on Ohio State. If I have to pick somebody other than Ohio State, I mean, I went with Notre Dame before the season started. I liked him to come back and everything else. Um, I think that if they get in, I mean, again, 4 points total in the two losses on one possession each early in the year, the first two games, and they're going to run the table. Is it enough to get them in? If they get in, nobody wants to play them, right? Like, but I don't know. Um, I I will tell you that I like what Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss are doing,
really, but they might not even get into the SEC championship.
but they'll get into the playoff.
Yeah.
They might not get into the SEC championship because A&M and Alabama probably will play, but so so what Lane Kiffin's got going on with Ole Miss is they've got that Tennessee Josh Heupel offense going.
Hmm.
They've really kicked that into high gear, and they put up and they put a lot of pressure, and they've got talent all over the place, and the defense is good too. That game against Georgia, they had the lead and let Georgia come back and stuff like that. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you take Ohio State out of the mix, I don't think Indiana, because we've seen, we saw what happened with them against Ohio State last year in the playoff against Notre Dame and stuff like that. Yeah, they went on the road and beat Oregon, but again, Oregon's one of those Penn State LSU
Hmm.
type teams, right?
Yeah.
They don't necessarily win the big games. So outside of that, Georgia, Alabama are those are always in the conversation, right? But if I want to do something a little bit different, a little bit fun or whatever, I like Ole Miss. I will
Okay.
say, let's take Ohio State out of the mix because that's where all the betting money is on who's going to win it, and then I'm gonna slide in with Ole Miss there. How do you like that? Is that kind of fun?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
can dig it. I like, that's a good use of somebody new. Memphis isn't a good use of somebody new. That is a good use of let's see somebody new in there that I think actually can compete.
right? Because I think they can compete. They can compete with anybody. They can get on a run and they can rip through the playoffs, but they
Yeah,
could
I
also
agree.
get bounced in the first round.
It's yeah, it's yeah.
So, but let's talking about Ohio State, right? Like, has Julian Sand played himself into the Heisman front runner?
I believe so. I believe so. I think that Julian Sayin is easily the pick right now for Heisman, and I'm not just saying that as an Ohio State homer. I'm saying that as his numbers out there right now. I mean, he's putting up numbers as a redshirt freshman that guys like Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence were putting up in their final seasons in college, right? He's out there with he's doing numbers that redshirt freshmen just don't do. And everybody want to talk about, well, yeah, he's throwing it to, Tate and Smith, of course. But still, at the end of the day, I don't
Yeah.
care how good your receivers are out there. It's not like he's just, fuck it. Who's, Smith is out there somewhere. I mean, these are accurate
He's
throws.
not throwing JJ McCarthy passes.
Right.
He's
Right.
you know, yeah. It's so the thing about, like, so what I like about Julian saying is when the game's going on, you're having the conversation of, is he going to have more incompletions or more touchdowns? I mean, that's the conversation that
Yeah.
you have. I mean, this last game he had three incompletions and four
Four
touchdown
touchdowns.
passes.
Yeah.
I mean, his completion percentage is ridiculously through the roof. He doesn't
And
throw a bad ball.
look, we can say all we will about Penn State. The defense is still kind of intact. They've still got some guys on that defense that are going to be drafted. They're all
Yeah.
you've got about five guys that are going to be in the NFL. Um,
Their defensive line is still good.
right,
Their edge
right.
rushers are still there.
Which is why there wasn't really much of a run game for us in that game. But and is whatever you say what you will about Jim Knowles, you know, he's he's an idiot, but he still is a good defensive coordinator. He could put some
No,
good
he's.
schemes,
I mean,
you know what I
look,
mean? So at the end of the day, it's
he
not
took
like
an
Julian saying
opportunity
it's
for
not like
money.
Stan went out there and had three incompletions to four touchdowns against Rutgers, right? Like I mean he that's still a defense that aside from the coaching issues and the quarterback and offensive issues, that's a solid defense still.
They had their defense was intact and they had Jim Knowles as their coordinator. So it's like to do that against that defense.
Yeah.
Now, we'll say that as the game wears on, when the defense is on the field over and over and over and over and over again, we know how that works out, right?
Right.
But still, it's an elite defense and it's an elite coordinator and it's elite scheme against you, and you
Hmm.
went you went three incompletions with four touchdown passes
Yeah.
against it. And it's look, I think the thing that we love about Julian saying is right. He never makes a bad decision, right?
For a
Like I
redshirt
mean,
freshman, he is extremely disciplined.
right. And he has shown the ability to scramble when needed. It hasn't been needed much, but he's shown that he can do it.
There was a
And he's
big
picked
play
up first
actually.
downs
There's a
doing it.
play actually that I distinctly remember in that Penn State game where he should have been sacked on third down. Offense should have been off the field, and I mean he was about 5-6 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and it was like a 3rd and 8, and he got out of the pocket, dodged a couple in the backfield, and bobbed and weaved his way for the first down. I mean, it was an impressive play for a guy that I don't consider a mobile quarterback, or didn't, when
Mhm.
it was decided he was going to start over Keenholz, and when the season started to play out, I didn't look at okay, we got our gunslinger, we got our pocket passer, but as the season progresses, he shows that he can move back there. He's a little shifty. He's
Yeah,
shifty saying.
and I think that the beautiful part about it is he only shows it when it's absolutely needed.
Right.
Like you're not
Which is
calling plays
something
for him to run.
which is something we really wish we would have seen out of CJ Stroud.
Exactly. I mean,
He's
the games
doing the
that the
extra
games that
steps.
CJ Stroud lost was because he didn't take off and run and extend drives by picking up first downs that way. And he had the ability to do so, and Sayan's doing it. Um so who else is in the mix? I mean, you got Marcel Reed
Yep,
at A&M, who he's got to be in the mix, right? If you're the
of course.
quarterback of an unbeaten team in that, like he's got to be in the mix. You got I'm having a brain
Well,
fart.
Jeremiah Smith is in the Heisman race too.
Well, yeah, that's always do you go quarterback receiver? Who's the I mean, Jeremiah Smith, 24 touchdowns in 24 games. I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous,
But aside from the
but
OSU, aside from the OSU glaze, I'll dial it back for you guys. But Indiana, Mendoza,
Mendoza, yeah, that's who I was thinking. I was saying I'm gonna say Menendez, but
and then
Mendoza,
Ty
he's
Simpson at Alabama QB too.
Ty Simpson, and then Trinidad Chambliss
Yep.
at Ole Miss
Mhm.
also. So I think that those are probably the four,
And it's
five,
crazy.
the five.
All quarterbacks and the
It
one
is all it's a quarterback.
it is.
Because the game has changed. Although there did you know the thing about the last, I don't know, going back to I think 65, every time that the year ends in five, a running back has won the Heisman.
Well, there's no running back even in the mix this year.
Yeah, who's the best running back in college right now?
Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, probably. But is that enough for him to win the Heisman?
No,
I
I don't
think
think
if they
so.
were unbeaten, he would be invited to New York.
I don't think it's enough for him to win the Heisman. One, yes, because they're not unbeaten. Number two, when you have the likes of these quarterbacks we just listed, as well as Jeremiah Smith as your one non-quarterback candidate, it's tough.
I think Jeremiah Smith is going to get overlooked simply just because of, I mean, if you've got saying, because Tate's playing so well.
Tate's
right?
playing very well.
Like it's not all Jeremiah Smith. Like when receivers have been there in the past, it was all I mean, going back to Tim Brown and at Notre Dame and stuff like that. Like there was nobody else you were throwing the ball to,
Yeah.
but that's kind of where these offenses are. It's going to be hard for anybody outside of a quarterback to win the thing. And you got those five quarterbacks, you know, on teams that are playing really, really
Really, really
well.
well. Yeah. So yeah, I don't
So
know. I think obviously everybody knows who my front runner is. Everybody knows who my national champion is. But it'll be interesting to see how this wraps up here. We've got 3 weeks left, 3 games left, at least for Ohio State. There's 3 games left. So, but we're getting down to the wire here. It's going to be interesting to see how it wraps up here between the Big Ten, the SEC, and the ACC. Those are going to be some fun conferences to watch who comes out with those. And yeah, then we got playoffs soon, so
I
that'll be
like it.
interesting. I like it too. So it's probably all we got for now. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, well, yeah. Let's wrap this one up. I know
we'll
you
wrap
guys
her
want to
up.
hear more from us. We'll have another episode out soon.
Yep.
I know you guys can listen to us chitter chatter all night long on the YouTubes, but
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, we'll wrap this one up, and then we've got some more stuff to talk about. We'll get another episode out there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Make sure you guys are liked, followed, subscribed on everything. Links in bio. Um, and yeah, this is going to be like a 2 episode week. So just stay up to date with your favorite pod.